Kirby 64. Out of all the Kirby games, this one is my favorite. For one reason alone, besides it being one of my childhood games. See, this game only has 7 base abilities, but you can mix and match them together, giving you a total of 35 abilities to use. Now, I have 3 videos planned for these abilities, so subscribe if you want to see those. And as you know, today we are going to rank them. Let's get into it. Sup y'all, Ranger here. Before I actually get into ranking them, I should explain how we're doing it, because it's probably not what you expect. The video will be divided up into sections, each section being a tier. No, not that kind of tier. Tier is in tier list. We're doing a tier list. I know most of you know what a tier list is, and if you don't, it's fine. You'll get it. The abilities will still be ranked, number 35 to number 1, etc., but it will simply be in segments, so don't worry. Each tier, by the way, will have a name and description, because, well, I can, okay? Also, disclaimer, this is my opinion, and I would love to hear yours in the comments. Also, some of the names I used are pulled off straight from the Kirby Wiki, some are my own, and some of them are modified versions of said Kirby Wiki names. With all that being said, let's begin. F tier. These abilities are the absolute worst. I have pretty much no reason to ever use any of these, and it could be questioned why they do some of the things they even do. If you play Kirby 64, you know exactly what these 2 abilities are. Number 35 is, unsurprisingly, Melting Ice Cube. Not surprised that something bad came out of Fire and Ice, but come on. This is straight trash. Sure, it can do something sometimes, but other times, well... Number 34 is Dynamite. Oh, buddy. Sure, this ability is good for taking out a good amount of enemies, but there is one flaw that makes it terrible. It is a little annoying to use as well, at least efficiently, and it's required for a Crystal Shard in a level that doesn't have the combo. It's just... E tier. So this is kind of a weird one. This tier is home to 4 single abilities, all of which I'll use, usually up until it can be combined with something else. Number 33 is Spark. The move is standard, making Kirby do a zap, but you can move around while doing so. The reason it's so low is because this walk is extremely slow. Walking also makes the spark smaller, so yeah. It's alright, I guess, but it's definitely my least favorite single. Number 32 is Stone. This one is actually a lot like Spark, making you pretty much invincible, and lets you walk around at, granted, a very slow pace. But what puts this one over Spark is the ability to do a dash attack of sorts, and make a burst at the end. Number 31 is Needle. Though it can't walk like Spark or Stone, I like it more for the overall charm, and fun, surprisingly. I like how the enemies will just stick to the needle, which is kind of funny to me. And just running, jumping, and then using it is so much fun, despite the end lag. It can also stick to walls, so that's cool, I guess. Number 30 is Cutter. This is the only game where Kirby chucks his frickin' head at people. The main downside to this one is, once it's thrown, you are very limited mobility-wise. No flying, climbing, sliding, etc. I do like how decent of an attack it is, though. D tier. These abilities, when it comes to fun and efficiency, tend to excel in one, but lack in the other. The size of this tier is not to say that the ability system is flawed, cause they're all still good, just poorly balanced in my opinion. This is the biggest tier, so get ready. Number 29 is Rolling Snowball. I'm gonna be honest, I only find myself really ever using this one in Shiver Star 1. Aside that, it works alright. It can absorb enemies and make a burst hitbox. One of my main issues with it is if you hit any wall, including breakable blocks, it'll burst, making it a tad bit annoying. Number 28 is Lightning Rod. A great attack, excelling in vertical combat, while having a surprisingly decent horizontal hitbox. It's just not the most fun to use. It's pretty slow and boring, to be honest. Number 27 is Volcano. It's cute, fun, safe, and effective. But if you really are trying to get the most use out of it, good luck. The range isn't the absolute best, and it's a bit tedious to move back and forth, making it a bit low here. Number 26 is Giant Spiny Snowflake. One that I personally don't like using too much, due to the fact that it's a stationary move. That doesn't beat out how useful and pretty it is, though. Number 25 is Match. This ability is just kind of funny. Kirby rubs a towel on his head, and he lights himself on fire. It's somewhat combat efficient, but at times it can be hard to control. Number 24 is Exploding Snowman. Its function is simple. You become said snowman, you run up to somebody, and explode. Sure, it can be useful and funny, but I just find it a bit tedious to use. Number 23 is Light Bulb. Honestly, this ability is basically just Exploding Snowman, but you don't explode upon enemy contact, you can stop it manually, and it's used in a pretty cool puzzle. I don't see it as too fun usage-wise, though. Number 22 is Homing Missiles. I really wanted to see this one placed higher, because the ability is super fun to use. And would be effective if the missiles had better AI. It's a cool idea, it's fun, but it unfortunately doesn't work as I hoped. Number 21 is Spike Bomb. You turn into a Gordo. How cute. You run up to enemies and explode, or you can just do it manually. When you explode, you shoot out spikes on all ends. This is very useful, I just wish it was faster. C tier. So, we've reached the mid tier, the most average abilities out there. These abilities aren't really amazing, nor terrible, just average. Number 20 is Swiss Army. This lets you attack with a bunch of different sharp objects, such as a bee stinger, a cactus, and a frickin' syringe that almost compares to that of Dr. Amigo's. This is basically just a bigger needle, but really, the size and the extra charm is all it really needed. Number 19 is Super Fireball. Yes, I know this one is ranked under fire itself. I'll get to that. This ability is great if you feel like soaring across the skies. For a set amount of time. See, that's the problem with it. The time is always the same, be it pretty long. But the main problem is that you cannot do crap for a couple seconds after it's done. So, still a lot of fun though. Number 18 is Fire, the most average ability in the game, which makes sense why it's the first to appear on pretty much anything when it comes to this game. Now, I know some of you might be confused why it's over its double. Well, unlike Super Fireball, you can actually cancel the end lag. No wonder it's the primary ability for TAS. Now, the distance it goes is dependent on some factors, which I don't really know, to be honest. Overall, the pinnacle of average. Number 17 is Super Boomerang. I would have placed this one closer to Cutter if this thing wasn't so gosh darn huge. Its amazing size makes for an incredible attack. Though, it's definitely balanced out by the same problem that Cutter had. B tier. Now here's where the good stuff comes in. These are all great abilities, but aren't quite up there for their own reasons. If this were a top 10 list, think of number 16 through number 11 as my honorable mentions. Number 16 is Bomb. A great combat ability where you can throw a bomb at different angles, depending on how long you hold the button for. Not bad for a single ability, and is quite fun. If it had more range and a bit better control, i.e. Superstar, it would have definitely placed higher. Number 15 is Giant Claws. This is here simply for how satisfying it is to use. You hit an enemy from the sides or from below. Now, to avoid sounding like a hypocrite, I will mention that its main flaw, like Snowflake, is that it cannot move while being active. But it's better than Snowflake because it is quicker, snappier, and overall more enjoyable. Number 14 is Ice. Ice is my favorite element in the game, with some exceptions, looking at you melting Ice Cube. And the ability is very good. It's simple, it looks nice, and it can freeze enemies. But it is a tad bit slow. Number 13 is Energy Field. This one is a brutal one. It shows no remorse for enemies, and especially mini-bosses. While this one is amazing, it's slow, and it shrinks when something touches it for a second. Number 12 is Mega Stone. Okay. This is just a bigger version of the ability that's all the way down by 20 rankings. But let me explain. Stone was good, but it had major flaws. The biggest being that it was frustratingly slow. With the Mega Stone, that problem is fixed. Fixing that one issue bumped it up big time, with the added bonus that it's just bigger. Of course, you still can't jump and slopes are an issue, but it's amazing otherwise. Number 11 is Drill. This is a very versatile ability. You get to move forward with the drill as your lead, which you can shoot out towards your enemies afterwards. You can also shoot it down, which I know like one true use for this. Now, once activated, gravity kind of takes over, but you're briefly suspended vertically during activation and release, so spamming it causes this to happen. Great ability, but it could be a bit better. Number 10 is Ice Skates. This one is a very versatile ability as well, giving you two main attacks. The Ice Chips, as I'll call them, where you can slide into an enemy and kill them, and a Spin Jump. All of this, plus he looks fresh while doing so. Now, the main flaw with this one is that if you decide to run headfirst into an enemy, it's not that fun. Number 9 is Curling Stone. I prefer this one over Ice Skates for a couple of reasons. It's cold, I guess, so it freezes them. It's bouncy and fun. You can actually run headfirst into enemies. And if you dash into it, you go super fast. Which is definitely my favorite part. More fun than Ice Skates, but if it had a jump, it would be perfect. A tier. This tier is for the abilities that would have been S if they didn't have one thing holding them back. Basically my almost there category. Number 8 is Lightning Boulder. And yeah, some of you are probably very confused right now. And I don't blame you. Yes, I unironically love the Lightning Boulder. Its main appeal is the fact that you have a boulder that can kill anything in its way, attached to a lightning bolt that will also kill anything in its way. You're able to run around, bounce it everywhere, and when you're done, you can make it explode with a button press. It doesn't have infinite range, so it's not entirely broken. The controls aren't perfect, and it will explode upon contact with Kirby, but nonetheless, it is very fun. Number 7 is Flaming Arrow. Nightmare Fuel aside, it is a super fun ability to use. The longer you hold down the button, the further and higher you'll shoot the arrow. Once said arrow hits, a pillar of fire will linger there for a moment afterwards, which can still defeat enemies. The aiming isn't the most intuitive though, so I tend to miss shots a lot, but regardless, this one is very fun. Number 6 is Animal Statues. What we got here is all the animal friends from Kirby's Dream Land 2 and Kirby's Dream Land 3, all in stone form. Each time you use this ability, it will give you a random one of the 6. And each one has their own function. Rick, who can walk around very slowly and climb walls, which is useful for getting that one shard. �㑚, who is basically Rick, but has a heavy triple jump instead of a wall climb. 𝐒, who can fly but is heavy and slow. 𝐶huch, who can jump. And 𝐾ine, who is just freaking useless. But there's that 6th one that makes this one so good. That would be Pitch. He's fast, he can fly, he's pretty much invincible, just like the stone ability. He's just perfect. The only reason this one is an A tier is because it is super tedious just sitting there, waiting for the one you want. Pitch alone makes this one so high up though. Great job, Pitch. S tier. We've reached the top. S tier, my top 5. These are my all-time favorite abilities. And trust me, if you've played Kirby 64, you won't be too surprised. Number 5 is Exploding Ninja Stars. This one is probably the most fun ability out there. You throw a ninja star. Once the star hits an enemy, it stuns them for a moment, then explodes, making it all the more satisfying. Plus, it is highly spammable, so you can just go at it. My only complaint would be the fact that it's a tiny bit hard to aim. Still though, this ability is flat out amazing. Number 4 is Double-Bladed Lightsaber. Yes, yes, yes! This is the coolest ability in the game, hands down. Sure, it's not my favorite, but this one is so much fun. You pull out a freaking Darth Maul lightsaber, but it's yellow, and you just swing it to your heart's content. It's amazing combat-wise, and it can kill simply by turning, which is pretty funny actually. This ability is amazing, I just prefer my last 3 over this. Number 3 is Sword of Fire. So this is literally just lightsaber functionality-wise. Great for combat, can kill by the touch. But why I prefer it over lightsaber is because, for one, watching Kirby pull out a frickin' two-hander out of his mouth is hilarious to me. And you have more attacks, being lifting the sword up and throwing it. So overall, it's better functionality and aesthetic-wise. Number 2 is Fireworks. Arguably the prettiest ability in the game. Fireworks gives you 3 bursts to work with, each bigger than the last. It's amazing combat-wise, and the sound it makes. Oh, it's so good. It's pretty, it's efficient, and well, It's just amazing. Now, if you've been keeping track, there is one obvious ability that I have not mentioned yet. That of which, to many players, is considered the best one in the game. Number 1 is undoubtedly Refrigerator. If you don't know why it's here yet, observe. It's frickin' broken. Plus, enemies can be defeated by the food. Sure, it's not always efficient, but my god is it hilarious. On top of all that, you have an infinite amount of time in said form, which, by the way, makes you invincible. Also, there is no limit on the food, so yeah. Its charm and usefulness hits the highest points for me, and makes it my favorite ability of all time. Now, this is my opinion, so you might think differently. If you do, let me know in the comments. Trust me when I say I love reading them. And if you want more Kirby goodness, or even Mario content, be sure to subscribe. I have 2 more videos on these abilities coming out in the following weeks, so prepare for that. And if you did enjoy this one, hit the like button. It gives me more motivation. With all that being said, thank you for watching this, and I'll see y'all next time.